What up, YouTube? It's your boy Young Black. Uh, I'm gonna address something real quick. Well, the starters to start off. One of my viewers said I don't have a lot of subs. I'm not looking for subs. I mean, I love for people to subscribe, because I want to feel like my voice is being heard through for gamers. But I do this basically out of my heart, out of my love for video games and to put some real knowledge out there for games. That's basically the only reason. I'm not trying to get a 5,000 subs. I mean, if it happens, it happens. I'm not trying to have 5,000 followers on Twitter, all that. I'm not doing it for that reason. I'm not really into that type of shit like that. I'm doing this because this is my passion. I love games. Um, I'm going to talk to you guys today about the Metal Gear series because the story is very intricate and a lot of people don't understand the story. And I've been playing the games for years, so I understand the story very, very well. Metal Gear Solid 1, you start the game as Solid Snake. He's entering the Shadow Moses research facility, which is on I think they said the Pelico Peninsula in Alaska or something like that. But yeah, it's in Alaska, I believe, and it's an island. It's called Shadow Moses, and there's a secret research development base there for the United States government, and they're making a walking battle tank called Metal Gear. And they basically, during the time of the game, they basically what's happening is that all the people that are responsible for making the Metal Gear, the battle tank, are meeting up to discuss the capabilities of it and to do a test launch, to see just if it's going to work or not. But before they can do all of that, um, the soldiers that were supposed to be guarding the area, which is Foxhound, which is a special Black Ops type of unit, which consisted of Liquid Snake, Falcon Raven, Sniper Wolf, Psycho Mantis. They were there to protect the base, because they were basically super soldiers. So what the government was making there was highly top secret. So they put the best soldiers that they had in the world, basically, which was Foxhound, which we understand why. Some of them had powers, some of them had extraordinary combat abilities. They were just abnormal people that functioned very well in combat, right? So what ends up happening is they end up deciding to take over the base. So they end up defecting against the U.S. and become terrorists, and they hold Metal Gear hostage for I forget. I think it's like 15 or like $25 million, something like that, in ransom. And they decide that they're gonna take Metal Gear ransom and try to get the government to basically give them money to get their weapon back, or they're gonna start launching nukes. They said, send us some bread, or we're gonna start launching nukes. Is what they said. Okay, so the government they don't really give them an answer back. They send Snake in, Solid Snake. When Snake gets in, he starts to meet the Foxhound members. Snake used to be part of Foxhound. Okay, when the game starts, Snake is retired. He's not an active military member. They basically went and found Snake and then made him become active again, just because they knew that if anybody was going to stop these guys because of their high military backgrounds and their capabilities, it was going to be Snake. Okay, because in the past two games, which was Metal Gear and Metal Gear Solid Snake, Snake had done amazing feats, so he became a legend. You know what I mean? So they went and got the legend to take out these new bucks basically, and they send him in by himself because they know that he's more than capable of handling the situation. Um, but when he gets there, things aren't what they seem. The United States government is telling them that these guys are terrorists. They actually are part of your former unit, Foxhound, but they're defecting and now they're holding our weapon hostage. Now, another thing is Snake doesn't know that all of this stuff is not official. As in the government food chain, the people who are supposed to know about this base don't know about it. You understand what I mean? He ends up fighting all of the Foxhound members, Sniper Wolf, Mantis, Vulcan Raven, Liquid, and all of them. And he comes to find out that his that Liquid, the person that he's fighting in the game, the main bad guy, the boss of Foxhound, is is his brother. Okay, Liquid is his brother, and he doesn't understand how that is, and it happens through he's a clone of Big Boss, and he finds out that the man that he kills in the original Metal Gear games, Metal Gear 1 and Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake, was actually their father, not by birth but by genes. They have the same genetics as um, Big Boss. Snake just thought Big Boss was an enemy to America, so he was a soldier. They sent him to another place in the old Metal Gear games to take down Big Boss, but they didn't tell him that he was a clone of Big Boss. That was actually his father. And by that time, Big Boss was older. He didn't look like Snake anymore, so it wasn't like he could physically see him and understand that he was a clone. So he basically ends up killing off his own father in the past games that came out way back in the day for like Nintendo. I think it was like Nintendo a long time ago. So he ends up finding that, and he feels like that's really treacherous. Like, the government didn't tell me nothing about that. Like, he didn't know. He's basically being used as a dog of war. Go do this, go do that, go do this because of his super abilities. But come to find out that his abilities come from another soldier that was the best soldier in during the turn of the century time, which was Big Boss, who was a whole another character. I actually should start off with Metal Gear Solid 3 because it's gonna jump backwards. But yeah, you get it. But actually, I think I'm gonna do one video at a time for each game because there's so much that goes into each Metal Gear. But Big Boss is actually on the cover of the box. If you could see him, that's Big Boss. That's Big Boss, and that's Liquid Snake, and that's Solid Snake. All three of them on one cover. So that's basically what the game is about. The first Metal Gear is basically about Snake learning the truth of his origins, and he finds out that he's a clone. Now, another thing that they come to find out by the end of the game is that the American government did have a lot to do with creating Metal Gear, but not fully. You know, it was actually the vice president that pushed the issue of creating Metal Gear. The president did not push the issue of creating Metal Gear. The vice president did this on his own, doing underground stuff and using the Pentagon's black ops budget to fund this side project. It was in the best interest of the American government, but they basically were making it as a deterrent so that if any other country had a nuclear weapon, they would see this nuclear weapon and not want to use theirs because ours is so much better. And that's how it works now too. You know, it's like if the other guys make a gun, we're gonna make a bigger gun. It's basically what they did. You understand? He meets a lot of characters through the game. The person who created Metal Gear itself was Hal Emmerich. He was the specs, you know, the designer of the missile guiding system on Metal Gear and certain other aspects too. But the game is really, really deep, you know. And I suggest if you guys are younger gamers, you know, and are of a mature mind and can comprehend stuff, go pick up Metal Gear. But if you don't like PlayStation 1 graphics and you don't want to play it like back in the day classic, if you're not just hardcore, you know, I want to have the original version. There's also, which I don't have the case for. Actually, I was actually playing it yesterday. There's also a redone version of the same game called Metal Gear Solid The Twin Snakes, which is Metal Gear Solid 1, the game I just showed you, but it takes advantage of Metal Gear Solid 2's graphical system. So the game plays like Metal Gear Solid 2, but it's actually Metal Gear Solid 1 just done over again. I don't have the case, but I have the game, and this game is actually such a good game. I'm glad I have it even without the case and the instructions. It's still an awesome game. I'll probably find another copy soon off Amazon or something and just order it with the case and instructions. But yeah, that's basically it. Once he finds out that he's a clone and he doesn't have real parents and he basically was created by the American government as a weapon, Snake decides to leave the military for good. He says he's not going to do any official military work ever again at the end of the game. Basically, he leaves. He wants to start his life. He wants to be a normal person, you know, even though he's a clone. You know, things get complicated later in the series, but I'm gonna go into that in another video when because each game deserves its own video. That's how in detail Metal Gear is. You understand? They portrayed him. You know, they didn't tell Snake what he was. He was basically just a gun to the United States. He was a clone of the Strongest Soldier, and they basically did that because Big Boss was a monster. He was a beast. His capabilities could not be matched. And Big Boss did the same thing that Snake did. He left. You know, but I'm gonna get into that in another video, like I said. But I'll still talk about certain little aspects of it. Big Boss left, just like Snake did. He didn't like what was going on in the American government, so he left. Snake didn't like what was going on in the American government. Solid Snake didn't like what was going on in the American government, so he left. You understand? He said he wasn't gonna do any more official military ops, and said to fuck with it, to hell with it. And at the end of the game, which was when he left, he decides to start his own, well, not his own, him and Otacon decide to start their own thing. I forgot what it was called, but it was like some type of anti-Metal Gear movement type of thing, where they were against the making of Metal Gears. Because at the end of Metal Gear Solid 1, Ocelot steals that disc that, not the DARPA chief, I forgot the other guy's name, who was tied up to the C4 and the ninja comes and slice off his hands. If you remember and go back and watch that part, he hands Snake a disc with all of the specs for Metal Gear, all the information about Metal Gear, the tech specs, how they made it, everything, how it works, basically. And if you pay attention, at the end of the game, Snake loses that card to Ocelot. Ocelot then takes that card and sells it to the highest bidders on the black market, which causes an outroar, which gives other countries the ability now to make their own Metal Gears. So now we have, instead of the American government having this one big walking battle tank, Ocelot has made it so that every country now can have their own Metal Gear, right? And that's what happens during the in-between time of Metal Gear Solid 1 and then Metal Gear Solid 2. That's what happens in between, right? So now you got more than one Metal Gear project going. You have multiple Metal Gear project going. So Snake decides with Otacon that they're going to form their own group using his skills and Otacon's tech savvy, and they're going to go in and destroy these Metal Gears and get information on the Metal Gears and put them out to the world, and they build a website so that the people can know that the government is responsible for all this information leaking out because they made a walking battle tank under the table, you know what I mean? And then, you know what I mean, the information gets stolen, and now the world is vulnerable even more because now that information is so delicate that if another government gets that, they can make a weapon that could destroy us. So now every government is making Metal Gears now because the information was sold on the black market because of Otacon, you know? But that's actually, the American government actually wanted that to happen too, but that's another story. It was part of a conspiracy in the Metal Gear series. But real gamers stand up, go get Metal Gear, go to Wikipedia, buy strategy, go back and buy some of the old strategy guides if you can find them, back order them, and just get your story up. Metal Gear is an amazing game. It's turn of the century to me type of title. There's no game like it. There's still no game like it. Story games are starting to become very relevant now. Everything is not just bang bang, shoot 'em, and flashing lights no more. You know, there's actually some thoughts behind the games now. It's not just lights and clockwork anymore. You know what I mean? Like there's really in-depth detail in storytelling now, and I love that. I went and picked up L.A. Noire last night, which is another game that's real deep in storytelling. You'll be seeing my video for that soon when I start playing it. I got too tired, didn't get to start it like I told you guys. But I'll probably start it probably today at some point. I'm hoping if I could do it before my kids come home and stuff, or if my kids come home and drive me crazy, now I don't get a chance to sit down and actually stop and play it. But I'm going to play it soon. My next video probably will be about either L.A. Noire or Metal Gear Solid 2. So we can go into that, and I'll tell you exactly what happened in that game also, because it's a bit confusing. But I'll explain that game to you too. The first game is a little more straightforward. They get more confusing as you get through the Metal Gear series, but that's because a lot more conspiracy comes into play. You understand? But I hope that helped what I told you. I left out. I know I didn't talk about all the characters and everything that's in the story, but that's like a whole nother fucking thing into itself. Like I can't put all that in there. But real gamers stand up. You know what I mean? And I'll be back, and I'll let you know about Metal Gear Solid 2.